So one of the things that has happened over the weekend, like almost as soon as I got off the air on Friday, Jalin Conyers decided that Oklahoma was the place for him, and he is the latest in a scorching series of commitments for Oklahoma. Like, I got the list in front of me because I needed a list. That's how just bonkers it's been basically since about June 6th. We're talking about Jalin Conyers, four-star tight end. Andrew Raym, the top prospect in Oklahoma, four-star offensive lineman. Brendan Walker, flip commitment from Oklahoma State to Oklahoma. Edgerrin Cooper, the gash shooter, the gap man. Bryson Washington, four-star safety. I think that dude's going to just skyrocket up the rankings. His film is amazing. That was a huge get. Nobody saw that one coming, not even me. Perrion Winfrey, 2020 defensive tackle. Seth McGowan, the second of two studs at running back. Brock Vandegrift, the top recruit, according to Rivals, 2021 quarterback. And, of course, Brian Darby, who went down to a satellite camp and earned an offer. So you're talking about 8 commits since June 6th. And it's like, that's like a 6-week period. That's ridiculous. That's recruiting in fuego. But even so, with 15 commits, Oklahoma's sitting at number 10 in the 247 composite team ranking. So the question that I get is, hey, RJ, do you think that Oklahoma can make a run at the top 5? And I'm going, not without a quarterback, right? You need a couple 5-stars and you need a quarterback. And that's what makes this class so interesting is usually you not only have your guy zeroed in on who you want in that class at quarterback by this time, but you have secured a commitment from that person by this time. And most schools have. Like, there's 2 guys in the top 10 that are uncommitted. One of them is Haynes King. I still don't understand why he doesn't have an offer from Oklahoma, because he has all the tools that an OU quarterback would need. He's great as a dual threat guy. He runs a 50.400 meters. He's a winner. He took his team, the Lobos, to a state championship. He can sling it around. He was at Elite 11. He was amazing out there. And then the other guy is Malik Hornsby, who I think is an interesting prospect in that he was committed to North Carolina. He wanted to play in Phil Longo's air raid system with Mac Brown as head coach. He since decommitted. I'm going, man, that guy, if you want a project quarterback that also has the potential to take off and run with the football whenever he wants to or needs to, Malik Hornsby is that guy. But again, neither one of those guys has an offer from Oklahoma, which again makes this totally interesting and makes this recruiting ranking just go up in the air because you're going, man, it's really difficult. Go ahead.
I was going to say also too, if OU wants to be number 1 in recruiting, that Clemson team is doing something ridiculous. They already have 5 5-stars. So,
and they had Miles Murphy decommit.
You might be like, hey, do you think we can get number 2? I mean, you might be shooting for number 2 in the recruiting rankings this year.
I am of the opinion that if you just won a national championship, there's no reason for you to not be number 1 in recruiting.
Unless you just don't have many scholarships. But generally, when you win a national championship, a bunch of guys leave early. So,
but even so, right, you should be able to recruit for that, right? Like at Oklahoma, for instance, you've had Bobby Evans, you've had Orlando Brown, and you've had Cody Ford all leave early at offensive tackle. And yet, Oklahoma does not necessarily secure the number 1 rated offensive tackles each and every year, even as this class is filled with at least 3 guys that I know have the potential to leave early. And Nate Anderson, Noah Nelson, and of course Andrew Raym. You might have one more spot available there for a guy out there. I mean, Aaron Parks could be that guy. Marcus Dumerville could be that guy. But you would think so, right? To your point about if you have scholarship available, you would think so. But that isn't always the case. I mean, they wanted a guy like Aki Agumbi, who was in on Oklahoma, ended up committing to Georgia, flip commitment to Texas A&M, so forth, so on. And recruiting just goes in those waves. But to your point, if you got the scholarships available, you should be able to recruit to those positions. And yet, for whatever reason, Miles Murphy decided, I don't want to go to Clemson anymore, which is wildly interesting because it looked like they were going to have the top defensive end, the top 2 defensive tackles, and they were just going to reload at a position where they obviously were going to have a need in a couple of years.
As we've talked about before, remember when I asked you 2 weeks ago about why are we getting so many recruits now? If you think about this, is going to be the 3rd year we've had the December signing day, and I think teams are finally starting to hit the stride of they're filling their classes up in June when you used to not do that until November or December.
Well, you better. You better treat February like that time where you're just trying to fill out a need that you didn't absolutely nail down and get. Because more and more, it's not just that the teams are getting woke to it, it's that the kids want to get in there. They want to get in there as soon as they can in most instances. You know, guys like Jeremiah Cradell, he's coming from modern day. He can afford to wait. Jaden Davis, he's coming from St. Thomas Aquinas. He can afford to wait. They're coming from 2 of the class high school football programs in the country. But most of these guys, they're scheduling high school so that they can graduate in December and enroll in January, and they're going to be in the early signing period. They're going to be in the early signing pool because that's just what they want to do. And more often than not, you're going to see that with guys that not just want to get recruiting over with, but just want to get on to college. And the sooner you get in, the sooner you get out, right? So it's all playing together.
I think we've talked about this. If let's say we're going to make R.J. Young big-time 5-star recruit. Would you try to get there early? Would you try to get there in December?
You're doggone right I would.
It seems to make so much sense on so many levels.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I didn't go to my own prom and I didn't even graduate. I graduated. I didn't graduate early, and I didn't go to my own prom. Right? That's how important it was for me to go to prom. I just didn't care. I wanted to go to work. You know, that was what I was looking for. I was already looking to get classes out of the way when I was going to TU. I was already looking for what am I going to do when I get to TU. You know, getting ready to walk onto the track team, to get ahead in my studies. Like, all that stuff was important, and I wasn't even playing football.
Well, to move, like you said, to get that jump academically and to get that jump physically. Now, look, we've mentioned the pitfalls. Okay, we've mentioned the pitfalls of going early. Hey, look, that's for a guy who might still only be 17. That can be hard jumping onto a college campus. But if you got the right kid, if the kid is able to handle it, what you can get academically and obviously physically, be a huge boost for you. And also, too, look, helps you graduate early, and then either you can transfer or get yourself a master's degree while you're there.
You better get the master's. Like, that has also been a point of argument for me. Like, when I talk to kiddos and they're telling me what they want to do and how they want to do it, some want to go into business, right? That is a common major that I hear about. Get your MBA. Get your master's of finance. There's no reason not to. You know, and especially if you're not going to be a guy who is projected to be drafted in the first 4 rounds. But even if you are, there is life after football. And enrolling early academically gets you ahead, but also can catch you up, right? So, like, if you needed some help in, say, the area of math, right? You needed to knock out some math classes because perhaps you wanted to major in engineering, but you didn't have all the prerequisites to go into engineering coursework. Well, now you get to go take those courses and you get to catch up, use that semester to catch up. You're not taking more than 12 hours. You're full time, but also you're taking 6 hours each summer. So just by the numbers, you're going to graduate early if you just go to school year round. And if you can trade football for that in the system that we have, absolutely. Now, I also think that if you were up to me, I'd rather that you just pay me my money. And then I'll take my money and I'll invest it in stocks and bonds and 401k, and we can go from there because, yeah, I can get my education. I can also get paid. And that's a different argument I understand. But the more that I talk to kids, the more it's like, you know, high school is kind of overrated if you're a football player, if you're a wrestler, if you're an athlete, if you're a swimmer, because you are practicing during the times when everybody else is usually having a good time, when they're usually having fun. You're getting your work in. You're doing workouts. You're getting sleep. You know, you're eating right. You're not really interested in what's going on in high school because that's not the life that you lead. You go to class, you do what you're supposed to do in class, and then you go back to work, right, on your quote-unquote extracurriculars.